Hi everybody, so I should have really filmed this in the daylight, in better light, but here goes. I've got a small section of wall here. I don't know if you can see that, it's probably about just over a metre square below here. And it's got a bit of damage on it. It's got like a hole in it there. And it's got a crack on it there. It's got a little bit of a mark, red mark, pink mark or something, but that would probably wipe off. But it's got a crack here. If you can see that, it goes down and it's starting to peel out, the crack is. It only goes down a little bit. It was where something was knocked into the wall. So yeah, that hole there, again, that's pretty straightforward to fill in. A bit of polyfill will do that. The crack, as you can see, because it's a crack, sometimes you have to take the bits out around the crack to fill it in. Now, I have got some paint that should match this, so I am actually hoping that it will actually turn out sort of alright when I do this. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that first of all, and then I'm just going to, like I say, that small hole, I can just clean around it and polyfill it straight in. The crack is probably just, because it's a crack, you know, you can't just really just polyfill over that because it's so fine. I'll have to knock a little bit out around the crack and filler it in. Now, sometimes when you're filling these types of things in, it'll take 2 or 3 attempts, 2 or 3 days to do it, you know. Put the first coat on and the second one and smooth it over, and then you might even give the third once you've smoothed it over, just to fill any gaps in before you paint over it. Now, when you paint over it, I have sort of got 2 options here. Because it's such a small area, I could just try and paint over the polyfill, depending again how it's going to look. It may need 2 coats, I'll have to see. It's a darkish colour, so I might get away with it, might not, or I might just have to paint the entire section. Like I say, it's not very big, it's about just over a metre square, so it's not a massive job, and it won't look out of place either where it is, if it is slightly different colour, but it is the same colour paint anyway. So yeah, that's the job. Join me on it and we'll see how it looks when it's finished. So as I said, the first thing I'm going to do is just clean around this. Now, this is a pretty clean hole. There is a bit of, it's gone through to the plasterboard slightly. I'm okay with that. That's pretty clean for the little hole. So I don't need to do anything on the little hole because it's not damaged in any way. The crack is the concerning one for me because, you know, I can see it's pushed in a bit all the way down the crack, probably from about there to the bottom of the crack. So I do need to do something. You can see as well, it's we've got another actual crack there at the side as well, which I didn't notice before, but there we go. So take that strip of paint off there. We can actually see. Okay, so that's the start of it there, going down. Again, I want to be very careful in doing this because when I fill it in, it's actually a bit better than I thought it was, because I actually thought it was actually like, you know, it was turning into a proper crack, so to speak, but it's not. It's just a fine crack in the plasterboard. Now, goes up a bit there. I'm not too bothered about that bit because, like I say, it's not like a structural crack or anything. It was caused by knocking something into it. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, I want to get that hole in there and just make the hole a bit bigger so the plasterboard has got something, sorry, the filler that I'm going to put in has got something to stick to with the plasterboard. So So that's looking better. Happy with that side there. Really happy with that side. So that's just a slight crack there. And then we go down to virtually nothing really. So yeah, that should filler in okay and paint over okay. We have got another one actually that you can't see a bit lower down. So I'll address that one as well. Very small one at the very bottom as well. But yeah, I'm happy with that. I know I've pulled a bit of paint off there. That's not an issue. We'll fill the holes in and see how it looks. So I've just mixed a small amount of polyfiller into a very little tub. I don't know if you can see that there. I've just put a little sprinkling of it in and a few spots of water to mix it so it doesn't go, it's not too watery and it's not too thick either. So we'll, now different people have different ways of doing this. I found personally over the years an old normal kitchen knife is brilliant. You can buy special knives to do this and special tools, but you know, it's each to their own, because you know, I found that this works pretty good. Now I want it to be a bit above, for the simple reason that when I sand it down, it kind of hopefully will go straight. So let's put some in the other hole here, the other side, and as we know, we've got the crack line all the way down there to fill in. I mean, the excess bits that are over the top, you know, you can wipe them off or just sand them off when we come to do the sanding bit. Bit in the middle there I'm not too happy with, and of course I've got to do that top bit there. Actually just mixed just enough for this, not too much. You don't want to waste it, do you? Just enough to do the job you've got to do. And as I say, I always put it so it's a little bit thicker and it hangs over a little bit, because you have got to sand it down. And it makes it a lot easier when you come to sand it. Right, so I'm pretty happy with that. Yes, I know there's bits hanging over and whatever, but like I say, I'm going to paint over that, and I probably may end up painting the whole wall. Depends how it turns out, really. Sometimes you need to, sometimes you can just get away with it. It all depends on the colour match of the paint that you're putting on. This paint's been on for a fair few years here, so we'll see how it turns out. So now I've got to leave that overnight to dry. The next day I can sand it. If it's good enough to paint over, I shall paint over it. If not, I shall touch up any bits. Sometimes when you sand it, little bits come out and things like that, you know, so you might end up having to mix a very small amount just to fill an odd few little gaps in. The bigger the hole, the more times that tends to happen. But yeah, there you go. We'll leave that overnight tonight to dry. Sand off. very finely sand it off using very fine sandpaper. So yeah, overall I'm happy with that, and I'm happy with that one that I've done there. That one there hasn't turned out as good. I might have to just filler it over a bit, and the one in the bottom corner I did down here, I used the very last bit of polyfiller I had, so that's going to have to be redone. But that one is fine. I'm happy with that. That can be painted over, or at least attempted to. And we can paint over this one as well and see how they look. So this may need about 2 coats of paint. Give it its first coat today and we'll see how it turns out. If the colour is too different when it dries, may have to paint the entire section of this bit of wall as I explained, because it's about 1 metre or so square. It may dry okay, I don't know. See how it dries. I'm quite prepared to paint the whole section, because it is a bit of a little hair there. You always have to be careful though. So there we go, that's that bit painted over. Now when you paint something that's not white, you'll always change colour when it dries. So let's just swing the camera around and I'll just show you that. It's not very easy to see on the camera, but it is like a slightly different colour when you look at it like that, where I've done it there. So we'll see when that dries tomorrow, because it's got to dry overnight. I'll put another little coat on it. Maybe, like I say, that I need to just paint this entire section, in which case that's fine, I'll do that. We'll see how it dries first. I did test this paint on a piece of wood and held the wood up against the wall, and it did sort of match the colour, but you know, wood's a different surface than plasterboard, so yeah, we'll see how that looks when it dries. Like I say, it may need about 2 coats anyway, but if it looks a bit of a mess, I'll just paint the entire section and we'll see how it turns out. So I just wanted to show you this wall now. I've actually sanded it down and painted it. As you can see, it looks a lot better. I put masking tape around the outside, all along the rail there, and at the bottom where the skirting board was before I painted it. I used a roller. I painted it with a small roller, so it's turned out quite good. I'm just in the process of pulling the masking tape off it at the moment, but compared to how it looked before, it is now a lot better. I did a little bit more touching up with the polyfiller and things like that, but yeah, I'm happy with the outcome. It looks nice and tidy. From a distance, you can't, you know, tell the filler marks are there. You've got to be really close to notice the filler marks that I've done. I did give it 2 coats of paint, so it's had 2 coats of this this paint, and yeah, it's turned out really good. Really happy with it. It looks like a new section of wall. So any other little sections that I have a problem with, I can go round and make the relevant changes now. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll post more videos similar to this very soon. It's the first one I've done with that's involved any sort of painting, but yeah, always put your masking tape around the outside, and you know, just so it doesn't get on the skirting board, doesn't get on the sides or anything like that. And yeah, a couple of coats of paint with a roller, and there we go, it looks as good as new.